then we know what to do in every single outcome. And now I can't even go and get fucking milk from a supermarket. You know, very motivational to kind of carry on and try and help people who are in that little bit of bad space, because we all go there, don't we? I mean, it's tough world, man. It's tough.
Yeah, and I think from listening to you, from speaking to other individuals, from being in the military, we all know we've got mates ourselves with snags, haven't we, to a degree? No offence meant with the word snags, just the terminology. So we do get exposed to it quite a bit, I would say, from our backgrounds, you know, and continuing through life, we see friends, oppos, former colleagues may or not be suffering from it, but we do see changes in people. I certainly have. I've seen changes in myself. So our understanding of mental health, I think, is quite good. But one thing I've noticed with mental health is, and this is not a reflection of what you've said or what I've said, but I have noticed it within myself to a degree. When I'm so in my own world of mental health and struggling, you can't see other people struggle, if that makes sense. It kind of puts a shield up from you. You're so in your own head, you're unable to look out sometimes and actually think, well, actually, that person might be struggling as well with whatever, you know? As that kind of does that resonate with you at all? Maybe it's with family or something. I don't know.
Listen, I have to be honest, Ryan. I think it's probably the opposite. I mean, I was talking to someone about this yesterday. I went round to my mum's. She wanted to cook us dinner because she don't get to see us much. And you know what? It was kind of dawning on me. This is just me going off topic slightly. It was dawning on me. But remember, I talked to you about my time and my fuse. You know, after about an hour, I wanted to get out of there. I was like, I'm burnt out. I need my own space. I need to get out of this situation. But you put a smiley face on and you get on with it. And one of my mum's friends was there, and her nephew, I think it was the beginning of this year, he hung himself. I grew up with this kid. I mean, I was very good friends with this kid. Me and him used to, his brothers and my brother, 5 of us. We used to cut around, causing mischief, you know, I mean, getting in fights. I mean, these boys were, they were funny lads. They was a bit unhinged. I say a bit unhinged. They was incredibly unhinged, you know. They didn't give a damn. Anyone who started on them, anyone who wanted a piece, they was up for it, no matter how big they were. But the eldest brother, who was nearer my age when I got on with the most, he took his life at the beginning of this year. Took himself off to, I believe, some church graveyard and hung himself. And I was talking to his auntie about it yesterday, and I said, there comes a point for every man, I think, at around the age of 40 that I've noticed, where you take a condor moment and you stop and you reflect and you look back over what you've done, and you look at where you are and you look at where you're going, and if things don't properly align, or if things are not up to your expectations or what your wishes and your ambitions probably were, it can become very overwhelming, especially for males at the age of 40, I think. Take me, for example. I work in the security industry, yeah? Most of the people that employ me are high net worth individuals. They have to be to employ me, because security is a luxury, you know, to pay me a salary. Ryan, there's times when I'm driving around in a £250,000 Range Rover, you know, going to these houses to pick people up and take them to their meals in the city and private jets. And there's times when you just stop and you think, what have I done? Where am I going? What have I achieved? Do you get what I mean, mate?
I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly the feeling.
That can come on top. I mean, you begin to think, fuck me, man, what's my purpose here? Like, what is my role? What am I contributing? What am I actually giving back to the people around me that need stuff? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where, especially with males at the age of 40, and then you compound this with someone like me who who came from a very kinetic, very purposeful career. Yeah, right. I was an undercover soldier on the streets of Kabul City, mate. You know, uh, it, for all of the plain toy soldiers, and you know, and the sacrifice that my family made, and the selfishness of the job, I had an incredibly focused, incredibly mission focused agenda. And then all of a sudden now, even to this day, 5 years on out of coming out, 10 years on after doing that incredibly rewarding work that I used to do, there's a lot of times when I sit here and I think, where the fuck am I going and what am I doing, man?
You know what I would compare it to, and have compared it to, and this is just how I feel about myself. And look, James, I'm a realist. I did a relatively hard course in the Corps. Nothing much after that, you know. I had good experiences, but in terms of climbing up that professional soldiering ladder, it kind of stopped when I passed the course, effectively. Whereas you've went and done junior command courses, you've went and done 2 tours of Afghanistan, you've went and passed UK Special Forces. You if you were in an equivalent business of, let's just put it in finance, you're moving pretty quick. You're getting them top jobs very, very fast. There's that little wing in, you know, corporate finance, in that big old building employing thousands where 10 people sit. And very soon you're sitting with those guys. Very soon. So to compare, it's like you've reached very high heights within a very hard career. And then you come out of that and you go, right, okay, well, now what? We're not just at the bottom of the pile. It's starting again, but you've been in that office. You want to be there again. Where you know, you don't see top. I don't know, but what? Who moves from a very successful career and then becomes unsuccessful after that?
Yeah, and then
you know,
if you're medically discharged, so you are essentially, you know, discharged from the military, not on your terms.
You've been took out of that office, haven't you?
Yeah. And you are going into a world where, listen, mate, I'll be straight. Look, we're not looking for acknowledgement. You know, I get the comments from my socials. Thank you for your service. It's great what you've done. I find it quite weird. You know, I find it a little bit like overwhelming. We're not looking for acknowledgement, but no one, and rightly so, no one gives a fuck about what we did or what we.
Yeah, that's a hard pill to swallow, mate. That,
You know,
and I think that pill gets rammed down your throat in our world of our line of security now. I've noticed that this is the industry where you really feel that pill, and it's very hard to swallow. It's like, I don't give a shit about what. Yeah, I'm paying you money. That's where it ends for you. I don't give a shit, and it's a very difficult. I mean, I find it difficult, and again, I'm a nobody, and you know, I still look up to guys like yourself within those. Look, I didn't get to them heights. I still look at those heights and I get dizzy from it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like I understand, and I think, man, that must be difficult. But it has a consequence, all of this, doesn't it? And I think the consequence of this is, let's just box it up in mental health and chronologically go from the very beginning. I think you wanted to speak about, like, first, because this is the latter effects, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, for me, this episode here, when I was medically discharged in 2020, the first 18 months of being medically discharged, so from 2020 through to the halfway point of 2021, that was the darkest time. Okay, and in that dark time there, where you sat in, I mean, my house was grey. Okay, it was grey. It's like the aura you're giving off is feeding the environment around you. And I would spend a lot of time in this house. I'd be scared to leave it. And the hardest, you have to understand, Ryan, you've got a guy who will walk into a Taliban-run hotel, right, and walk through the floors of a Taliban-run hotel. He'll walk past the first floor of the tea room, and he'll look in the tea room, and he'll see a load of fucking Taliban sat there with AKs having tea, black turbans, and he'll casually stroll up to the first floor, the second floor, the third floor, the fourth floor of this hotel to go and find the dude he's going after, yeah? Won't even bat an eyelid. Take that dude out from that hotel, yeah? Take him away from there. Not even considering, but between him and getting out of that building, there's a tea room full of Talib, okay? Now, I can't even leave my fucking house to go to the supermarket to go and get food, all right? I'm sat there, hungry, not looking after myself, malnourished, no energy, no drive. And it's shameful. It's shameful because you're like, I was an operator who could do anything. There was no task. There was no mission that was too dangerous, too risky, too scary. I had it in the bag with my team of guys as well. We had it in the bag, all right? Every risk was mitigated against. Every situation was anticipated and the outcomes preconceived, and we know what to do in every single outcome. And now I can't even go and get fucking milk from a supermarket. So you have a lot of time to reflect, and you start to look back over time, and you look where you fucked up, and you look what was going on, and you start to say, do you know what? Actually, at this time here, this is when it started to go wrong. And for me, when it started to go wrong was 2009.
It's a long time ago, man. In comparison, it's a long time to be suffering.
I've been in this battle for 16 years. Yeah, so 2000. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, you're cool, man. Go for it. Give me a second.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of this 2009, folks. Realities of like what you see on TV and things like that, and but the effects with yourself and countless other guys in your level.
Yeah.
This is the reality. This is a reality for a lot of people. A lot of excellent men, a lot of excellent women, really struggling with, in one point, being excellent but being flawed in another, and not knowing how to fix it. You guys know how to fix everything, and there's this one thing that the lads are suffering from.
It's shameful, mate.
There's nothing to be ashamed about, no, James. It's I understand that you feel that way, but I'm telling you now, nobody watching this,
mate. The thing is, Ryan, you sit there and you think, I don't mentally break down. I did Royal Marine training. I did a 32-week course in 32 weeks. I've done my 30-miler. I've done UKS selection. I've been in contacts where I've run out of ammunition. You know what I mean? I've survived. I've been in vehicles hit by mines. I got all my legs. I got my arms. You can't break me. And now you're broken. It's shameful. It's shameful. That's the most overwhelming feeling is the shame.
That feeling of shame.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because you haven't had the opportunity to feel that way, and it's compounded over 16 years?
Do you know, I'll come on to feelings, yeah. Feelings is a big deal. I mean, I'll be straight and I'll be raw with you, mate. I was having a conversation with my girlfriend today, and I was apologising to her. I had to put her to one side and I had to say I'm really sorry for how I am. I don't feel a fucking thing. I feel no pleasure. I feel no excitement. I feel nothing. Nothing at all. And humans are not supposed to do that. Humans are supposed to feel. We're supposed to connect. You know, we see someone but we know we haven't seen them for a while. We're supposed to have that feeling of excitement and run in for a cuddle or a handshake. How you doing? You see a girl who you think's attractive. As a man, you're supposed to like, look there and the thoughts go through your head. And mate, I take my bike out. I'm doing, you're doing 130 on your bike, and you
Nothing.
look down and you feel nothing. 2009 for me. Let's go through it chronologically. 2009 for me was where, when I look back at the time, I didn't know something was wrong. Right. At the time, I want you to understand, when I talk about 2009, I'm not talking about from Maureen Williams in 2009, who is thinking something's wrong. I'm talking about from me looking at it from when I was medically discharged and having all that time to reflect and think, fuck, why am I here? What the fuck happened? And being on your own and having no one around you, cutting yourself off from society in your own thoughts, and having the time to look back and go, right, this is where it first started, and it was 2009.
Right, I've got you.
2009, I got married. I believe it was 2009.
Around the time of briefing courses and stuff like this.
Yeah, around the time, and I'd done 2 combat tours of Afghanistan. I'd done Herrick 5, which was, it was tame. And then I'd done Herrick 7, which was, it was the polar opposite.
Was this a long-term relationship, James, or was it a quick marriage type thing, or what was the dynamic behind that?
I had known this girl for 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
So about the time of joining the Corps, and
yeah, and yeah. She actually knew me before I joined the Corps. Bless her. This is the mother of my children. And she so we got married around 2009, and when I look back on the day of my wedding, I remember looking around at everybody, my brother, my family, her family, friends, smiling, dancing, drinking, joyful, celebrating, and I felt absolutely nothing. Like, there is not a single fucking feeling in my body. Numb, completely fucking numb. And what happens with this one here is, take this time here. Afterwards, like years down the line, when you've gone through everything you've gone through, you've been selfish your whole career, you've been out there playing James Bond, doing whatever. What happens is you start to feel guilt, because for the mother of my children, in this instance, she didn't deserve that. Her wedding day, she did not deserve to be marrying someone who felt nothing. She didn't give a fuck about the Afghan conflict. She didn't give a fuck about war. She's a young girl who's probably dreamt of getting married her whole life. As a kid, she's thought, I'm going to have this dress, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And clusterfuck here takes all that joy away from her through the social inadequacies and the personality change that war was going to bring on. She didn't sign up for the fucking Marines. I did. When I look back on it now, if I look back on it now, I would have given up every relationship, everything. I wouldn't have gone nowhere near it. There I am thinking, I need to have I need to be normal. I need to have a house. I need to have a family. I need to have a partner, because that's what people do. Negative, mate. Not in our line of fucking work, they don't. And if you do that, that's a selfish fucking thing for you, because you sit there thinking that's what you should have. What about what that other person should have?
Yeah.
What about that innocent girl there? What should she have? She should have a normal bloke who can have a drink, who can dance, who can have a laugh, who can be joyful on his wedding day. And you took that away from her. And mate, as time went on, we'll go through it, Ryan, I took a lot away from a lot of people. I took a lot away from a lot of people over a lot of time.
This took you a long time to reflect upon, to come to that conclusion, James, right?
Yeah.
We're talking 10 plus years?
Yep. We're talking, at that point there, we're talking 12 years, yeah.
So I'm just going to take my bootneck hat off now, and I'm just a civvy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing a guy who's reflected, had time to reflect, feels pretty bad about it, pretty bad probably is an understatement. But in all that, I see someone who has also been failed and let down, not by people necessarily, but by, let's call it institutions, let's call it the military. I'm quite happy to talk very pro-military, yada, yada, yada. But something's been taken from you as well. You talking about taken from a lot of people, taking their happiness and stuff. But the reason that seems to have been happened is because your happiness, your feelings, your normality has been stripped from you as well. So I'm just want to make it like, I don't want to tell you that this is how I'm observing it. I didn't know you before the call, but we've all seen the TV program of James Williams, highly faced and happy. I mean, you can't smile like that without having real gutsy feeling in there, you know?
Yeah.
So
honestly, that recruit Williams was the strongest, mentally strongest you could ever come across. Seriously.
So what I'm saying is, I feel like you've had stuff taken from you too, and it's just been a byproduct of what you've experienced, and it doesn't make you a weak individual from suffering from that. The fact that you can articulate yourself and understand where it comes from tells me you're a real emotionally sound guy. You understand exactly why things were the way they were, how it ended up that way. But the one thing I think you haven't really realised that much, or you're guarding yourself from realising it, is that, mate, you're a fucking suffering yourself, and you had a lot taken from you. That led to these actions, you know?
Yeah, but what you've got, Ryan, there is you've got the feeling which you'll never escape is, I signed the dotted line.
I don't think you signed, mate. I'm not talking with this on my head now. I don't think anyone signs up to have the happiness robbed from them. I think we sign up to do a good job. We sign up to. In your case, you read a book about.
Do you know what?
You know,
do you know what?
No one signs up to hurt people that you love.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. You signed up to do a good job.
Absolutely.
This is where the paradox comes in, because people say to me, would you do it all again? Do it all again in a flash. I'd do it different. I wouldn't have a partner. And I say this. I've got two beautiful boys who I've just started to strike up a relationship with again. What I say now doesn't mean that I don't want them here, but I wouldn't have even pursued anything with anyone. Knowing what I know now, I would have been like, you want to do this? You want to go off and play this fucking game in this environment, in this wartime environment? You understand, you do not fucking go near anyone, all right? You don't ruin no one's life. You don't make someone sit there and question why you're not there. You don't make someone sit there and question, are you still alive? Why don't you care? Why can't you come out for a drink? Why can't we socialize? Why can't you do none of that? You don't just if you want to go off and play toy soldiers, that's fine. But fucking that's what you do. So it was 2000. That was, when I look back, that was the first kind of like that was the first symptoms that were beginning to show. And that's mild. That's mild, okay? Me feeling absolutely nothing on my wedding day is mild compared to what was going to come.
This has to be Afghan, right?
It has to be, because again, I've just finished my sessions with. I had to go private medical care in the end. I went with a private psychiatrist, which I paid for, because the NHS. Seriously, Ryan, you sit in front of the NHS, mate. Bless them.
Bless them. They're not. They're incapable of fixing soldiers' problems, I think.
Yeah.
They just. Yeah.
And that psychiatrist went and spoke to my mum, and my mum, like I said, my mum has been the one who knew me as a boy, as a teenager, as someone before the military, and as someone throughout and someone after. And she said to the psychiatrist, the change, the real noticeable, definitive change was after the Afghan tours as a Marine. So it was 2009, and when I look back, I'm like, I can see what was beginning to start. But at the time, the thing with the military is, especially in times of conflict, like the Afghan campaign, and also the type of career I had, which was, incredibly fast moving, your feet are not touching the ground. All right. So nothing is truly catching up with you. You have to be static for all that to catch up with you. Okay. I mean, I've always spoke PTSD for me from the moment where it's triggered to me to try and paint a picture. That tiger is chasing you now. He's chasing you. But if you're at full pace, selection, junior command course, Afghan tour, another tour somewhere else, Afghan tour, another tour somewhere else, Afghan tour, that tiger can't catch you. But you wait until you start to slow down a bit. That tiger's catching up with you, it's pouncing on you, and you're going to nub. So nothing's catching up with me really through until 2014, 2015.
Through intensity of pursuit of career choices and all of this, and phase is part of that as well.
Well, you say phase, Ryan. Please understand the reason why nothing caught up with me through 2010 through into 2014 is because of the sheer level. I'm trying to think of a way to put it, but the sheer strategic importance of what I was doing with the SRR. And do you know what? This comment here, let me try and paint a picture for people who still don't know a lot about the SRR. And they want to know, but obviously there's not a lot I can say. The unconventional, strategically important work that they do. I'm not saying important work in general, because when I look back over it, it's all fucking pointless, Ryan. It's war. Do you know what I mean? I fucking cannot stand war. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand the concept of suits in government who have not even come from a background where they've had to fight at all as kids or anything, come from extremely privileged lives where they haven't even had to, you haven't had to fight for, when I say fight, I don't mean physically fight, but you haven't had to fight to put bread on the table. My mum had to fight to put bread on the table. My mum had to fight to pay the bills. And now all of a sudden you've got these people elected in Parliament, purely elected in Parliament through their entitlement of being in a position to get there. And now they're making the decisions to send us on campaigns to war. I am sick to death of looking at this thing here every morning with a new headline on it, saying what some world leader is saying about Ukraine, Iran, Israel. I just want to shut the fuck up and piss off and sort it out amongst your fucking selves. Trump, if you've got a problem with the Ayatollah of Iran, go over there and fucking have it out with him. All right, don't. Keir Starmer, with your comments about, seriously, just fuck off, all of you, man. You're grinding the people down. You're absolutely grinding the people down. They've had enough. Do you know what? I've diversed there, man. I'm trying to think.
No, you haven't. You're talking about the impacts of how you're feeling. We're talking about when you first noticed it, and then we talked about Afghanistan. So it is linked, really, and I think it's. I want people to understand as well. Like what you're saying here is, it is important. It's important that you get it off your chest. It's in there. You want to speak about these things. It's your experience. You've operated at the knife edge, so your opinion really does matter. You've been there. You've been policies written on paper, but it's acted out with fists and weapons and everything else. In your case, it was anyway. So you've seen the direct result of policy and war policies and things like that. So I think your opinion is very much valued, and it's needed to be. People need to hear this from you. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. The last time people saw you was on Commando on the Front Line, James. It's different. It's very different now, right?
Yeah. Do you know, I was thinking about this a little while ago. I was thinking, why would it probably be that hundreds, thousands of years ago, you could have a warrior go off, go to war, come back to his family, and still be normal? All right. And this is me making an assumption that they were normal. Why is it that PTSD is here now? And I was thinking, maybe it's because of this. This is just a thought, yeah. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because when that warrior went off to fight, when he came back, for example, to his little stone house up in the Yorkshire Hills somewhere, he was still a warrior. He still had to be a warrior. Whereas I go off and then I come back to this world here where there's no need for me to be a warrior in this environment.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You're asking me to switch from you know, from outright tool of war to come back and now conform, to now go out and be a tool of war, to now come back and conform.
I know, and you were in a part of the military where you didn't conform to the normal, especially when it comes to conventional warfare fighting. No, you're doing everything but conventional. Yep. So when you're getting people to try and, okay, James, happy days, thank you for your service back home. Not just back home as a man who's fit and healthy and ready, but they've getting rid of someone who needs a bit of help and needs a bit of care, needs a bit of guidance, needs a bit of welfare. But they've sent a mentally broken man off into the concrete jungle with arguably one or two issues that they could definitely help with. And it's like, it's not only stupid, it seems quite dangerous to me that they would do that. You know, you're a tool of war, like you said. It's all you've ever known for over a decade. Right, kid, just go do whatever you want to do, whether that's security, private security, whatever you got to do. But we finished with you now.
Yeah, I'm flat out from 2009 now through until 2014. I mean, it was about 2014. It was actually the Christmas of 2014, where Christmas of 2014 going into 2015, where I had what a lot of people class in the military as my first wobble. All right, you know, you've had a wobble, and again, this is, you know, I'd have to get myself together to kind of do this without actually, you know, really falling apart, because it's so shameful.
Take your time, man. Take your time.
I was coming up to Christmas 2015. My first boy was 6 months old, and I was in my house with my wife at the time and my first boy, 6-month-old boy, and we're coming up for Christmas. I'm on Christmas leave, and the thought of being in a Christmas family scenario was, it was so overwhelming. It was destroying me inside, and I didn't know why. I was shit scared. I was petrified, absolutely petrified. Listen, right, I need you to understand, this is really hard for me to say, but this is really, really shameful, but I want to paint an absolutely blunt picture about what this line of work can do to you. All right, given the right circumstances. I think if I hold back on details through a notion of not wanting to, you know, be looked at a certain way, then I'm not doing it for justice, or I'm not doing it for correct that it needs doing. Do you get what I mean?
There's no judgment here, James.
So I remember looking at my wife was sat there. I think we was having a little bit of a disagreement because she could tell something was wrong with me, and she's in the front room and she's holding the image is as clear in my head as any image I've got. She stood there with my boy in her arms, little 6-year-old boy, so 6-month-old boy, and I looked at her and I just went, I can't be here. I can't do this. I don't know why, but I can't do this. And she went, what do you mean? I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what, I don't know. I don't know how to handle this situation. She was like, what? I said, I'm going. She went, it's 2 days before Christmas. What do you mean you're going? And the look on her face was like, you're leaving? I was like, I've got to leave. And I took myself back off to Hereford, to my triple SA, and I stayed there for 2 to 3 months, all through Christmas. My boy's first Christmas, I wasn't there because I mentally couldn't handle it. Now, the shame that comes in there is, one, you failed as a father straight away. You failed as a partner. You failed as a husband. But you couldn't pull yourself together for the sake of those people there. You'd pull yourself together for the sake of your fucking soldiers on the battlefield if they're taking rounds. You'd run out into a hail of bullets one day for them. And you can't even pull it together mentally in your head to be there for your son's first fucking Christmas. And you've left your wife sat there over Christmas thinking, what the fuck's going on? My family's not together. And I went off and I took myself off and I didn't speak to no one for about 2 to 3 months. And I stayed in Hereford in my triple SA. And mate, have you ever been in triple SAs?
Yeah.
They're grim. They're grim, mate.
Yeah, it's just like a...
It's as furnished as you make it. And you know, us as soldiers, we just want a bed. So I'm in a room with a bed and that's it. And I remember laying there, Christmas has passed me by, New Year. I remember New Year laying in bed, and I remember laying in bed trying to go to sleep because I think if I sleep, then time goes by and I don't know what's going on and I don't know about it. You know, it's like that old saying, Pusser's time machine on tour. If I sleep 12 months of if I sleep 12 hours a day in Afghanistan, I do a 3-month tour.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
And there I am, New Year, and I can hear the cheers and the crowds next door on the street, the fireworks going up, and I'm on my own in this dark little bed in this dark little grotty, grimy little triple SA room, and my family is somewhere else, and I can't be there with them, and I've just got absolute feelings of utter disgust in myself and shame, but I can't bring myself to put it right because I don't know how to put it right.
Scared to put it right, I'd imagine.
Just fucking completely lost, mate. Becoming more and more completely lost as time went on.
Complete breakdown in normal mental function then. And what makes it even more difficult is the fact that I understand this from a military perspective, by the way, and I was with my wife from the start to the end of my small time in the Marines. They don't understand. They try to, and that makes you feel a bit selfish as well. Because
but do you know what, Ryan? Can I just say, it's not their job to understand.
You're right. That's kind of what I was wanting to. It's. I understand the feeling is selfish because although you might not have control over it, you probably still recognize that I am selfish here. It's a horrible. Must have been horrible for you and horrible for her and the family to go through this cesspit of mental health.
Yeah.
And
then when I boil it down to its absolute core, where it came from, going through this, and I'm going to keep saying it, I get on my soapbox about it, people going through this because of the agendas of people who we wouldn't have in office if we had our actual choice. Because let's see, what's the other options? You're all shit. You know, you're all absolutely bone. Like seriously, you can sit there with your degrees and some sort of aristocracy intelligence, but you're bone. You're bone. You're totally fucking bone. Seriously, like what you talk about. Like, yeah, I remember that thing, wasn't it, where Rishi Sunak said he wanted to imprison, he wanted to arrest homeless people. What the fuck are you going on?
I actually get I get a bit miffed with stuff like that about the homeless begging and you get rung off the police for helping them out and stuff and all the rest of it, and it's like, I'm not being funny. If the man's begging, even if it is for drugs, he's in a shit position in life still. I mean, think he's begging for drugs, mate. That's like, come on. Do you know what I mean? Oh, he's begging for drugs, not for food. Who the hell am I to have the moral high ground and, unless you buy a Tesco's meal deal, I'm not going to give you that, or that's wrong to give him that $5. Like, come on, man. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's a strange. We live in a strange. It's moral quandaries, I think, and I think
it's like with what's going on in the news today. Listen, I understand the thing with benefits, yeah, I mean, Jesus, we can open a can of worms here, couldn't we? I understand the thing with benefits. I know there's a lot of people on benefits who shouldn't be, etc. But I just don't understand why no one's talking about this. Why is no one saying the reason why the government wants to cut all of those benefits for people, and a lot of them do actually need it, is because they want to finance the war machine.
Well, you
the money has to come from somewhere.
It's billions and billions and billions.
Yeah. Out of every cost that you could possibly have, I'd say that war is probably the most costly.
Without a question. Without question.
Do you know, when it boils down to it, it's between dictators. It's between heads of state.
You can smell it brewing as well a mile off. I think the build-up to this smells a lot like the build-up to Iraq, personally. That's my opinion. And we're allowed to have opinions at the end of the day. Well, you think, but... So 2015-16.
Yeah. So 2015. So I've gone into around February, March of 2015, and I've gone back to my marital home, and I've tried to, my partner, bless her, she was understanding. I mean, deep down, she was probably fuming, disappointed, hurting like you wouldn't believe. But
so you went back after a couple of months, yeah?
Yep.
Did that involve a conversation beforehand, or did you just?
Yeah. It was. We spoke, and I was like, "Look, I'm really sorry. I've just been in a really bad place." And she was like, "Look, come back and let's see if we can just sort this out."
Sorry.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
I'm in absolute awe of her mental strength. That's proper mental strength, Fuck mine for getting through fucking rule retraining. Fuck mine for getting through UKSF selection. Fuck mine for getting through all of the missions that I did as an SRR operator. Fuck that. That's not mental strength. Pure, real mental strength is what the mother of my kids demonstrated.
There's no course for that either, is there?
There's no course for that, and I'm in awe. I'm in absolute awe, and I apologize to her from the bottom of my heart. She didn't ask. She didn't sign this dotted line. She didn't sign up. Some people might say, yeah, but she knew what you did. she was just a young girl in love, I guess. She might tell me, I don't know.
Negative.
She was just a young girl who had aspirations of having a family, a house. I mean, she's a successful woman. She really is a successful woman. I think she's a corporate banker up in the city.
Fair play.
She's really got her head screwed up. I apologise to her from the bottom of my heart, and I'm so out of all of this mess that's already happened, and there's more to come on it, Ryan. But in this instance here, out of all of this mess that's happened because of this selfish career that I've led, I am so grateful that she is the mother of my children, all right? And she has brought those kids up, and those kids are unbelievable.
That's awesome.
And how she has done that, whilst dealing with the absolute life, the absolute inadequacy of the kid's fucking father. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think it's admirable from both sides of the coin. Is that the first time you've said sorry for that?
Yeah, that is, yeah.
That takes a lot. Takes a lot of courage to. I know we fucking hype on about war and all that shite. Again,
well, mate,
it's easy for people like you, innit, really? But real courage comes from doing things that you're not very good at or not really in tune with. And if it's, that to me is kind of what courage looks like, really.
Sorry. I'm so sorry to my mother. Another Afghan tour, Mum. I'm happy as Larry. This is brilliant. Yeah, I'm really excited. And 4 Afghan tours she went through, and numerous other tours of other places which I won't mention. Out of respect for the regiment, and every single time when a newsreel comes on about another soldier that's caught it up, for a mother to be sat there thinking, is it going to be mine? Every day she woke up, every day, waiting for a phone call. Waiting for a phone call to say, you know, the worst has happened. And that's my story, Ryan. Right? That's my story, and I'm here. And then you look at the story of, like, say, George Sparks.
I was just about,
and you're like, George Sparks' mother and father actually received that. George Sparks was supposed to come home on his R&R for Christmas. He got the Christmas slot. His mum and dad were preparing the house for Christmas. Presents all bought. And at the beginning of December, I think, because I did speak to his father, they got the phone call, George isn't coming home for Christmas. So you got my story, which, it's tough, but I'm still here. I went for dinner. I went around my mum's house for dinner last night. But I spoke to George Sparks' father, I think it was this year, actually. So we're talking a good 17 years on. George Sparks would be 35 now.
Well, my age. Well, a year too younger.
And they are still, they're still not right. What a sentence for them.
I don't think you could ever be right for that. So you're. I'm not saying this is how you should feel or anything. I'm merely asking because I want to kind of go beyond that question. Is there a sense of survivor's guilt with all of this?
Do you know, I never understood survivor's guilt. I was like, that was one of the biggest questions that come up when you sit there and you go to the doctors and they give you your sheets, especially in the military with their psychiatrists, because it's very military focused. Do you feel guilt? I didn't feel guilt for a long time. Guilt is one of those feelings that's come in the past, say, year or so, with the feelings of anger and rage. Remember when I spoke to you before, Ryan, I spoke about confusion, being lost, anxiety, depression, being scared. They was the overwhelming feelings at first. And then they manifest over time into what I've predominantly found was the overpowering feelings of anger, short fuse, temper, rage. But then I did start to notice guilt coming, Why not me? What was the difference with me in that vehicle there that got hit by that mine? What was it on that day where the powers that be, wherever they are, if you believe in the universe and fate, etc. Why was it that this soldier here called it up and I didn't?
Do you think it's as you grow older, we know that the older people get, the more empathetic you become anyway. Obviously, the degrees in which your empathy levels are at as time goes on is down to you as an individual, genetics, whatever you want to call it. But it's true. People do become more empathetic up until the day they die. Why grandparents and stuff are, better with the kids than their parents normally. More empathetic or think, hang on, you weren't like that with me, but you're really, really kind with my kids. It's empathy. Do you think empathy plays a bit of a part in it with yourself, or is that something that you don't really recognize?
I don't recognize empathy, but my partner at the moment, that's one of the biggest things that she says. She says, you're so unempathetic. Like, empathy is removed from you as a soldier, especially in times of war, and it's hard to get back. It's really hard to get back. If it can come back, I don't know. Yeah.
So to understand, I actually disagree from observation. I'm not saying I know what you feel, but just how you articulate yourself over like the circumstances.
I do understand what you're saying there, Ryan, but I know that you're probably relating it to the fact that I can be empathetic towards how someone was at that time. I'm not sure if that's empathy. I'm not sure if that's so much reflection and guilt on my part and me just being able to identify a scenario happening at the time and saying, even if I don't feel empathy, being able to say that was wrong.
Yeah, because your emotional intellect high, though. So you're emotionally intact enough to, and I think you've got high emotional intellect, actually, to be able to understand thoughts and feelings and how other people, especially all these years later, it's coming up now. Mate, you've got emotional intellect in bag loads, and I struggle to find. I think maybe I don't want to say your understanding's off. That's not what I'm saying, but sympathy and empathy. I think you've got to have empathy to be able to reflect back and be sorry for your actions towards those people. When, let's be honest, mate, you, you don't have to. You could have not said a damn thing. You know, you. So I think there's some empathy in there. Personally,
I don't
it's
know,
just
mate.
it's
I struggle to identify it. You know.
dear.
Yeah. So listen, 2015, I've gone back, and do you know what? It was around this time where I decided to put my chit in and try and leave the military, because I was like, right,
2015 team, yeah.
2015, I'm going to leave the military. I put my chit in, and I was like, right, that's enough soldiering, that's enough fun. Now you've got a family, step up and go and be there for them.
Mm.
So out of all of that darkness there, I then got this kind of like drive to you know, to give something back, you know. And we joked about this. I came out, I think I was out for 9 months.
Yes. Oh, the Civi 3s.
Yeah, failed my Civi 3s. What was it? We got one of the comments. What's his Civi course?
What's that course he keeps talking about?
Civi 3.
Can I do a Civi 3s?
I
feel kind of bad joking about it now, given the extra context you've.
No, man. Listen, but hey, listen, that's the same old scenario, Ryan. Would you feel bad if your mucker's just taken around through the chest? He's got an acumen seal and a sucking chest wound, and you still do the name game on the on the person Kazivacking him out? Fuck it.
I'll be the number one person. I was known for it,
Yeah.
unit.
Yeah, mate. If I was sat here talking like this, I'd expect Sergeant Quinn to turn around and say, "Should we go and see the fucking Padre, James? You can always VW."
You know,
and you wouldn't expect any less.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because I know there's a lot of talk now about it, like, no, fuck that kind of way of thinking. It was old school and it's got no place, and this is the way we've got to do it now. And then I see people going down that route and saying, well, actually, we need to talk more and do this more and that more. But I'm like a results-driven person, and I look and go, well, the old hard way before, unless we just weren't hearing from it from blokes because they simply weren't talking, I'm in conflict with what's actually better. I don't know if the whole talking thing's good. I know there's science backed up that men and women receive it very differently. Yeah. Because what happens is when men start opening up, I'm not saying don't open up, guys, before. This is just what some of the science says, some of it. There's evidence to suggest that men who really open up, like to counsellors and stuff like that, feel vulnerable afterwards. And men don't like feeling vulnerable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. It's an interesting topic, James, because I've opened up to before to things, and you are opening up now. I don't know the answers in that regard.
Maybe I can kind of explain a little bit of the next about that in the next part, where we talk about the kind of the lead up to my medical discharge. So I've come out and I've failed my Civi 3s. Like, it was during this time when I've come out to try and make a go at my family, but I've actually ended up getting divorced. Yeah. So you come out, and again, this is another hard thing. You achieve missions, you achieve goals. You've come out with a mission and a goal, and the result has been the absolute polar opposite. You've come out to make a go of your family, and you've ended up getting divorced. And do you know what? Rightfully so.
What kind of time frame are we talking about here?
We're talking like 6 months.
Yes, really?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm now, I've got no car because my car's broken down. I've got no money. I'm living at my mum's. I've got no job. I'm wandering, and I've got no family. I'm divorced. I've said to the mother of my kids, keep the house, keep the car. I'll sleep in the fucking woods if I have to. All right, it's a nice area where you live in. I want my boys to grow up there. And guess what? I paint the picture proper. Yeah. At this time, my wife at the time, or who I'm going through the divorce with, even more shame, mate, is pregnant with my second kid. pregnant with my youngest boy, and the chain gun of shame, belt fed shame. Do you know what I mean?
It's
And you know what? This is where you start. You're like, this fucking career, and then you start to look deeper. And like I said, I keep going back to it. You fucking suits making these decisions. But then you start going, hang on a second, though. I made the decision to go down to careers office and sign up.
Yeah.
But then we can come up. But that then leads into, okay, so how do we solve this problem? And I was very vocal on the last one, Ryan, and I said, when you're budgeting for all of your, I'll say it again, for your javelins, for your GMG rounds, for your 50 cal rounds, for your fucking Apache gunships, when you're budgeting for all of that, budget doesn't stop with the fucking end of the conflict. You have to now budget for those soldiers who you have put out in combat roles, who, whether they need it or not, you are going to financially support to take off the pressures of this world, because there's going to be enough pressures on them anyway. All right. And they have the option to go and get some counselling, go and speak to someone, because I've been rejected by the NHS before, Ryan, because I couldn't make a weekly appointment. I said I can make fortnightly. No, you have to be weekly, otherwise we're removing you from our care. I can't do weekly because I've managed to find a bit of work, which I've managed to find a job. For fuck's sake, it's so precious to me. It's hard for me to get a fucking job, right? But it's a week on, week off. So every other week I've got a whole week where I can come in and do double sessions, or no. You come in every week or we're removing you from our care. I can't do that because I have to work. So I have to keep a roof over my head. I have to support my children with child maintenance payments. So now I'm in a position where, because I'm not financially supported, and I say it again, because I am a British, middle-aged, male, way down the pecking order, down the pecking order. Dare I even say it, because I'm former military as well. I can't help but think that the government thinks because we're former military we can look after ourselves, and they're right. Do you know what I mean? They're right. They're right in a sense, yeah. Because if I was out on the street, I'd look after myself. If I was living in the woods, I'd look after myself. But I don't live in an environment where that's an option. You know.
I want you to talk. Will you talk about because people will be shocked actually to hear. They've heard me talk about it a few times, but employment. Ex-Marine, ex-SF. Yeah, your choices is limited in Civvy Street.
Mate, it's
tell people.
It's incredibly limited as a former SRR operator. I joke around this. My CV is very much geared towards diamond heists, safe cracking,
Wild West film shooting. Yeah,
it's getting in and out of anywhere covertly. You start looking at.
You're not exactly applying for like a security manager job in at Virgin Money, are you? No. It's like, it's a hard life, man. We've especially yourself. It's most guys get into private security, close protection. It's the only thing we can do, mate. It's the only thing that, and let's be honest, I've felt this. I think a lot of the places that say they're pro-military aren't really. Let's be honest, they're worried if you're gonna have an episode at work or something like that. That people do think that, so I'm not going to use the word discriminate against that, but I think it's in the back of their minds when recruiting for certain job roles and stuff like that. Yeah, we're pro-military, but then you'll see like maybe he's a clerk from the RLC get the jobs. Yeah, okay, I can understand, and I'm not taking anything away. There's certain parts of the military that don't do shit. They'll be in an office, and I mean that with the utmost respect. I come from a military family where they've served in very different roles. All right, but at your end, what do? You've got one line of work. You've got one line of work, albeit it can be very prosperous, very good.
Yeah, there are the jobs out there if you know where to look, and the hardest thing for me, Ryan, was my mental state, mate. But I tell you what, let's go into the point where now So I've failed my Civvy Freeze, and the regiment has turned around. I haven't got anything, mate. Like my car's broken down. I haven't really got the money to fix it. I've got I live in a room at my mum's. I've got no work really. I'm just cutting around. I'm just wandering. And the military says, "Would you like to come back?" 100%. I was back in a flash.
Yeah.
Like that was it, you know. And I went back and I carried on with some essentially I was on operations. I won't say where, but I was on operations. I was operational. For my career with the SRR, say 8.5 years, 9 years, with the gap in between of coming out. I was operational for probably about 6 to 7 years of that, operational. So on jobs, on missions, you know. And so I've come back into the SRR, and up until at this point now, so look, I don't go out and I don't socialise. Any relationship I have breaks down. They all break down. They all fall apart. I'm so sorry to anyone who have touched on in a romantic way and taken away any of your perception of relationships, any of your youth, any of your of your wants and desires for fun. I apologize wholeheartedly. I really do. And again, looking back now, knowing what I know now, if I chose that military life, I wouldn't have got with no one, because like I said, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve it.
It's a very hard thing to get through, mate. I had the, I guess, the pleasure and not the pleasure. I've had the, I was fortunate enough to be able to see that as I was going through my career. Probably it's because of the lack of pace, I'll be honest with you. I was able to kind of see things a little differently, I suppose. I've seen relationships fail so drastically in the Marines. It's like, if you get to warrant officer first class in the Corps, you've done that with about 3 or 4 failed marriages. And it's like almost a prerequisite to get on the seniors now. I mean that lightheartedly, obviously, but it's a tough environment, and you've got to be a bloody tough woman to go through it. Even tougher to be able to support your man enough when he doesn't even know what the hell's going on. Let's face it. You know, if you said to someone, "Fix me," would you be able to have pointed in the direction of what needs fixing at the time?
Yeah. So I'm coming up to I'm back in the regiment for two and a bit years on operations, and then I go back to Hereford, and I started doing some training courses. And this is where that tiger crept up on me and took me down. Right? Remember when I spoke about the tiger? Yeah. This is when that tiger pounced on my back. Okay. Started to break down mentally inside, like you wouldn't believe. This was now PTSD happening. Okay, this was now the start of my path to a medical discharge. And the feelings I was beginning to get, a lot of anxiety, a lot of withdrawing myself from any sort of social interaction, becoming very reclusive, very quiet, very within myself. Huge feelings of confusion, which you're just managing day to day. But then this started to leak into my professional competencies. Now, again, I say this now with the same amount of shame as walking out on my 6-year-old boy and my wife for the first Christmas. All right, I say this now with the same sort of shame. You imagine, Ryan, as a Marine, and then going on to being an UKSF operator, we're weapons experts, okay? And on ranges, I was always very swept up on ranges, because firstly, I came from a marine background.
It's our bread and butter, isn't it?
It's our bread and butter ranges. LMG drills, stoppage drills, reloading drills, all of that. We're all over it.
Second nature, isn't it?
Second nature. I was on some ranges, and I remember this one particular range where we were doing a contact, just say for the sake of the argument, a contact right, and we were withdrawing from the contact, so we're getting the rounds down, knowing where every team member is, and then withdrawing from that contact. And there was this one particular time where I was by this gate, by this post, and I was getting the rounds down, and my team all started to extract, and I froze. I just fucking froze. I literally, like, I don't know why, but every single process that was so familiar to me that I drilled over and over again, not just in a training environment, but also in a in an operational environment as a bootneck. And I remember the DS at the time fucking screaming at me, "What the fuck do you think you're fucking doing? Are you bone as fuck?" And I was just blank in my head. I was absolutely, there was nothing, mate. There was no thought process. There was no, should have done this, should have done that. I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing anymore.
Did anyone recognise that in you?
Not at that time, no. But it got worse because then I was on another range, a little bit further, a few days down the line, and I was moving back. So we're fire manoeuvring back, and as I'm moving back, I've run out. I can't remember if I had a stoppage or if I had an empty magazine, but on my mag change, my weapon's pointing up in the air, thank fucking God. I've sent the bolt forward and the round's gone off. You know that stop, sick feeling. Fuck. James, give us your weapon. Right, step off the fucking range. I don't fucking do this.
No.
I don't fucking do this. I'm a fucking UKSF operator, man. What the fuck is going on?
So did you know that at the time yourself, upon reflections and stuff, or did this hit?
This hit me like a fucking steam train. But at the time, this is upon reflection. I'm like, what the, but at the time, it's hit. Imagine, mate, Ryan. Mate,
it's horrible. You don't want to show your face or anything.
No,
it's
you
like,
don't, mate. You want the ground.
If you're like, I'm a fucking good guy, and I've just made myself look like a shit cunt, effectively.
Mate, you want the ground to open up and swallow you up there and then.
I can imagine the pressure's a lot harder, a lot higher in an SF environment as well.
Mate.
I mean, you get no forgiveness in the Corps, but I'm glad there's no room for error in what you guys are doing.
No,
Certainly no. You're not going to get any sympathy for it either. You either perform to the best standard or you don't,
mate,
right?
We worked to SF firing arcs, mate, which I can't remember how many degrees less they are, but they are less. SF firing arcs are less.
Well, I mean, you're pointing weapon systems over heads and stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, especially with pistols and shit like that, mate. This wasn't with a pistol. This was with a C8 DeMarco. That I had this ND with. I remember sitting in like the weapons shelter, the range shelter, and I just felt like everyone was looking at me, like shaking their fucking heads. They weren't, but I was just like, and then I think it was not long after that where I woke up one morning, and I just thought I was in my grot in my room that I would have on whilst I was in Hereford, and I just felt I felt this utter overwhelming feeling of confusion and sickness that had been building up for so long. It's just been building up, and I've been trying to put it to one side. I've been trying to, like I said before, get some food, have a shower, get some sleep. You feel better tomorrow. And it was just there. It was there, lingering. It was there. It wasn't going away anyway. Whatever the time of day was, wherever I was, whatever situation I was in, it was like a devil on your shoulder. And it got so much for me in the end. But I remember waking up one day, and I was supposed to be somewhere for a detail that morning, and I mugged it off. And I just went to see my hierarchy at the time, and I walked into the office and I said, do you mind if we have a chat? Yeah, sit down, mate. What's up? Something's wrong, all right? And what do you mean something's wrong? I was like, I don't know, but something's fucking wrong, man. I need some help. And in front of my I'm trying to think who he was. Was he my squadron commander? Mate, I burst into fucking tears. I started crying. Soldiers don't fucking cry in front of each other, do we, mate?
Well, I don't think it's talked about like that happens, but I think it does, mate. Yeah.
When I say cry, the tears came in my fucking eyes and I just couldn't hold it back. And I just looked at him and I went, I need some help. And that afternoon, I was with the doc. And then I started a year process of going from, the med centre to a psychologist, to a psychiatrist on the camp, to a specialist psychiatrist on another camp somewhere, which had a bit more kind of focus on mental health. And it was a year-long process before I was then eventually medically discharged with chronic combat trauma, a result of the cumulative effects of excessive exposure to combat. But that's basically a long term for PTSD.
It's took all them years to manifest to this point here.
It took essentially 11 years to break me. And when I look back over it all now, I was some days good days, some days bad days, but I was suffering for those 11 years.
Crazy how you're getting through that.
I was in a fucking non-stop contact for 11 years, all right?
Do you not think that in itself is cumulatively affected you even more than just having that issue in the first place? Do you understand where I'm coming from? If you recognised it or someone recognised it in 2009, maybe he's able to sweep things up and make it...
Well, do you know what? I don't know, because there is this thought that the quicker you can identify PTSD and nip it in the bud, the longer you let it manifest, the harder it is to sort out. Mate, I'll be straight, Ryan. I don't think it can be sorted out, mate. I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to be a certain way for the rest of my life. My latest psychiatrist, my private psychiatrist, who I paid for, who wrote a report. He wrote a 45-page report on me, right? Fucking huge report. And he said, your PTSD is now manifested into enduring personality disorder or enduring personality change, which, mate, he said, there's no cure for that. But it's really weird because when you're told this, the soldier logical part of your head comes in and you're like, if I break my arm and I put it in an X-ray machine, I can see it's a fucking broken arm. All right. It says it clear as day there. There's a break in it. Like, what the fuck do you mean that my enduring personality change or disorder can't be fixed? You can't see that. I can't see that. You feel like a cop-out, mate. You feel like a cop-out.
I guess it's a matter of... I'll be careful how I say this. Well,
look, so then what I've done is, I've gone on this year-long journey now where basically the regiment has said to me, go home. I'm at home. I'm still being paid by the military. I'm at home. I'm in a house on my own. Every month or so, the SRR welfare comes around and checks on me. This is about the time where I then stopped seeing my children for a period of about 5 years. Recently, this year is the time when I've started seeing them again. So we're in 2025. So 2020, I didn't see them for 5 years. And do you know what? I'm going to put that down to my social inadequacies, and rightfully so. The mother of my children making a decision to not expose my kids to that. Again, 100%. 100%.
A good call, kind of. A good call, you think?
Yeah, good call. 100% a good call.
Okay.
Because, but again, they didn't sign up for it. They're two young, innocent kids. I don't want to see their dad on the side of a fucking football pitch, not being able to interact with any other father, sat in a corner on his fucking own, whilst all the other dads are there running up and down the side, screaming, shouting, talking to each other about what they've done, etc. And I'm sat there like an absolute social fucking retard, and my kids sat there being embarrassed by me. 100%. 100% reduce my exposure to them.
So we're like in summer of 25 now, right?
Yeah.
If you can capture even small or whatever, where are you at now in comparison to those timelines quickly, would you say? Let's go from... Do you know what I mean by that question?
So, like, again, the sheets they give you when you go to the doctor How many times do you think about suicide? Never. Some of the time, majority. Every so often, a lot of the time, all the time, thinking of suicide. Why don't you do it? Because I've got 2 boys that need me to put some money in the account. All right, I'm not copping out on them in that way. Although, listen, given the choice, if the Grim Reaper was to come tomorrow, I wouldn't fight it. I'd happily accept it. All right, I'd be like, yep, great, fucking do me a favor, do me a fucking favor. So, what happens is, Ryan, you start to that feeling of wanting to take your own life because you just feel like you're fucking useless and you've got no purpose, and all the other stuff that goes with it, the depression, the anxiety, you begin to manage that feeling of wanting to kill yourself because it just becomes a normal thing, and it's a normal day-to-day thing, and you just manage it. All right, almost like a cold, almost like a flu. Yeah, this is shit, just blow my nose again, and
Yeah.
that's what it's like. So you begin to manage certain things, but I've resided myself. And again, how much truth there is to the diagnosis from my psychiatrist. He's the expert in psychiatry. I'm not. I'm just the subject sat there. But he has said enduring personality change is permanent, and I thought it was permanent. I thought whatever I was going through now is permanent, and it will be with me for the rest of my life. It's just how I manage it. It's how I manage it through my extracurricular activities. At the moment, Ryan, I'm fucking lost like you wouldn't believe. The reason for the bare knuckle fighting for me, whether I got my face smashed in or not, was just to be counted and participate in something again. Give me something to focus on. So it's how I manage it. I'm seriously thinking of inquiring with some other kind of like promotions just to do it. Even though I can't train properly because my work doesn't allow me to do the fighting training. I can run up and down hills and that, but to be a fighter, you have to train fighting.
You got to live it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have enough consistency in my fighting training to actually confidently get in a ring. But then there's part of me, it's like, I don't give a fuck. I just want to be counted again. I want to be a part of something again. But if that's part of the medication, but I have to swallow to manage this condition that I've got for the rest of my life, then so be it. My kids are back in my life, which is fantastic. That's a fantastic focus for me. But if I'm honest, I've got huge distrust for this world, massive distrust for this world, which is really, really severing my spiritual connection to anything in this world. I don't feel excitement. I don't feel joy. I don't feel like I don't feel when I work in the clubs in Ibiza, and the big stars are there, and everyone is just like, a tune drops and the fireworks go off, and everyone's like, I look at everyone and they're like,
Do you feel you look and go?
I look and what are you feeling
doing?
right? What? No. What are you doing? What are you feeling right now to make you move that way? What are you feeling right now to make you look that way? What are you feeling right now to make you connect with the person next to you in that way? Because I haven't felt this. I haven't felt any of this for nearly 20 years now. I haven't felt any of it for 20 years.
Do you find it hard to find peace in your current state of feeling?
Yeah, there is no peace, mate.
So there's a conflict with how you feel and what you want to feel like.
I want to feel love. I want to feel love. I want to feel
you want to feel
I want to feel
or you
connection.
Want to be able to feel the ability to give it?
No,
or both?
I want to feel connection.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I want to put my arms around my partner and feel that feeling, which I know exists because I've had it a lot. I've had it before. Yes. That feeling of just connection. War took that away. Conflict took that away. That connection, as I've said before. Remember when I described the little boy in his Speedos, the kid that was me. That little boy. That connection, that little boy, that part of me that had love and empathy and joy and excitement and looked forward to stuff, and that little boy, he's still somewhere out in the singing valley. He's still out there. He's left there. You know.
From a perception point of view, you still you. I mean, look, I mean, it probably counts for nothing, mate. I think you're a fucking good dude, man. I think you're struggling with a lot of things. I think you're goal driven. I think you're a very, very, very high performance person. I think war has taken a fucking innocent part of you.
That's what it. That's it. It's taken back that young
Took
boy.
back innocence. I'd expect it to do that, if I'm honest with you. I think war rips that from blokes and turns them into alpha male gorillas. Because alpha male gorillas are needed for that environment. It's when the environment stops. Can you morph back into that guy that you were before? I don't think.
And this is where when that question comes up. Okay, you've told us all this. Would you do it all again, mate? I'll be in a contact in the Sangin Valley this afternoon if you put me down.
What would you do differently?
I've said what I would do differently. I wouldn't impose my awkwardness upon anyone.
So let's look at. So you're talking from a selfless point of view. Now let's talk selfishly. Now, what would you do anything for yourself, given the insight you've got into mental health with yourself right now? Would you go, right, you know what? Because would it have been worthwhile you speaking to someone to say, like, I fucking don't feel like, say this is the thing. Only hindsight gives you that opportunity to do that, and you didn't have it then.
If knowing what I know now, I don't think I would, because I'd have been selfish towards myself.
Yeah.
Well, no, mate. You ain't bringing that up yet. You got to go and do selection, and then you got to go and do fucking undercover operations as an army spy. Like, whoa, mate. Nah, that's none of that's coming up now. Just like, nah, mum, I'm not going to be around this Christmas, and you have to part with another Afghan tour. No, my wife and children. No, I'm going off and I'm doing this. I'd have been selfish to myself. There's a problem. All right, we'll deal with the problem down the line. Because at the moment, I'm having a fucking good time. And it's selfish as fuck. I am having a good time. Like, yeah. But listen, I identified what was going on, and in identifying it, I think I've managed to save my life. Right?
I think so.
There's plenty of people. But that moment when I walked in to see my commanding officer in the SRR around 2019, 2020, and I put my hands up and I said something's not right. I know plenty of soldiers that didn't do that, and the end result was that they took their own lives. So, you know, I'm quite grateful to myself for having the foresight, to be able to put my hands up and say something's wrong, because the alternative would have. Ryan, I've been there. I've been there at Christmas, mate. I've been there at Christmas in this house here, and I'm not kidding you, mate. I've set up a fucking noose on my banister, and I can hear the crap cheers at New Year, Christmas, everyone having a good time, and I'm there on my fucking own. Another Christmas on my own. I haven't seen my kids for years, and, mate. I've sat there and I thought, just fucking do it, mate. Just do it. No one gives a fuck, mate. You're doing the world a favour. You're doing yourself a favour.
This is what you need to understand as well. I think. Sorry, I was condescending. You're doing nobody no favors by doing that. You're doing no one any favors by contemplating that. And people might go after me for saying whatever I say with men. The one thing that I do understand with mental health and that situation that you've just spoke about is I was there when I was 18 years old. It's not my. It's right now on this podcast. It's not my place to go into that because it's about you right now. But I do understand. And I'm 36 now, 60, 70, 18 years extra I was given. Fuck me, man. I'm happy. I'm so happy about that. I wasn't at the time. I wasn't for a long time happy about that. Part of going through commando training in my early 20s was part of that journey of trying to sort my head the fuck out. Excuse my language. But that part, I will say you are not doing anyone any favors. It only causes fucking miserable grief, and it fucking lasts a long, long time. It might last that person's entire life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Bless my mother.
And the thing is, it's difficult to articulate that to people who are struggling with mental health, because you don't feel what you don't feel it or probably believe it either.
Yeah.
But it's fucking the truth, man. Like,
Listen,
you know,
let me tell you the things that have helped me. Right. So the number one thing that has helped me is I've kept on training. Okay. I've kept on at the gym. I've kept on exercising. Some people might turn around and go, it can't be that simple. But for anyone suffering with mental health issues, please understand the power of exercise, all right? And don't be put off if you don't exercise, or don't think if it's hard at the beginning, just stick with it, okay? Even if it means you're just doing some press ups and some air squats and some burpee star jumps in your front room,
body weight
right?
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, if you can't get to a gym, if you haven't got the money for a gym, if you haven't got money for a few sets of weights, if you've got a little bit of money there and you can buy yourself a 16, 20, 24 kilo kettlebell, whatever the fucking weight is, but tailors to your strength and your ability, train.
Do
right?
stuff.
Train, move your body, get the blood flowing around your system, start to see a little bit of a difference in your fitness, in your aesthetics, and it will boost you, all right? And it will give you something to focus on other than the mental health issues that you're going through. It will give you a break from it, okay? It will give you a purpose. And then, do you know what? The next thing that I would say is especially for the regiment, because I know the regiment do, but they do watch it, Ryan. I hope that I've done you a good service with what we're doing here. You know, I hope I haven't crossed the line. But I just want to say, especially to the regiment as well, this here, the social media, for me, I'm lucky because I was Recruit Williams from 924 Troop. Okay, so people give a shit about what I did and where I ended up and what I have to say. The social media thing, the platform, the YouTube, the TikTok, the fitness reels, the messages I get from people saying, "Oh, thanks for that video. It really helped me. I've started training. I've started to see results. Like, thanks for the ice bath videos. I do them now. I don't want to kill myself." The social media thing has been a massive, massive therapy for me. You can take all of the psychiatry sessions. You can take all the psychologist sessions. You can take all the EMDR, CBT. You can take all of the fucking mirtazapine, sertraline, Prozac, sleeping tablets. For me, the best therapy I have had, apart from the training, has been the social media platform. All right, like
It's interesting, isn't it?
It really has. But again,
I've seen it. I've seen that change. You know, I've witnessed it.
The social media allows me to integrate back into society from a distance. Listen, put me in a busy environment, I'm still that fucking social retard who inside is just burning to get out and cannot fucking be there. But, you know, when I'm in a room on TikTok and I'm doing a fitness video and there's 250 people in the room, I'm chill.
And you know something, James? If that's the way it is, so be it.
Yeah.
You know? Some people can't talk in front of a room of a couple of hundred people. They would shit themselves. But via the camera, you get to kind of hijack that and think, well, you know, you're doing it right now. You're engaging the same audience. And even better, you're engaging an audience who wants to be there, you know?
Yeah.
And you can get it across and really help people. And that's the beauty of social media. And hopefully, I don't know what the answer is with the military getting on board with it more, but one thing's for sure, it's not going away. And this type of thing is popular for a reason. You either get on it or you don't. I think you're a product of that perfectly.